Good morning, dear students. Today I shall take up a very beautiful poem of William Wordsworth. Before starting this poem, I want to tell you a few things about Wordsworth. Wordsworth was a 19th century poet, and that century was known as Romantic age in English literature. William Wordsworth, as a high priest of nature, stands quite distinct from other romantic poets of the 19th century. Byron, Shelley, Keats were no doubt lovers of nature, but none had looked at nature in such a perfect manner as William Wordsworth had done. Of course, William Cowper can be considered to be as the forerunners of William Wordsworth in his devotion to nature. But for perfection, we look at William Wordsworth. The still sad music of humanity is very well sensed now, but he was lost in his spiritual experiences. William Wordsworth was more complete and superior to kids who believed in a life of sensation and not of thoughts, or superior to Shelley, who has derived intellectual meaning from the objects of nature as such. Byron falls out of William Wordsworth in his devotion to nature. He says, I love man, not less, but nature. William Wordsworth was the priest of nature, worshipper of nature. Some critics say that Wordsworth is a moral eunuch. Wordsworth finds never failing principle of joy in nature. This poem, Daffodil, illustrates Wordsworth's theory of poetic diction and is divided in 4 stanzas. He remembers daffodils in a pensive mood. He compares himself to the lonely cloud and daffodils to the stars. Daffodil fills his heart with happiness. The poem then is arguing that communion with nature is not just a momentary joy, but something deeper and long. Daffodil by William Wordsworth. In this poem, the poem begins with the poet. I wandered lonely as a cloud. Cloud is here personified. Personification, figure of speech is used. Personification is a figure of speech in which lifeless objects are thought of as living beings. Here, cloud is personified. I wandered lonely as a cloud. The poem begins with the poet wandering alone as a cloud. That means the cloud floats on high over vales and hills. Means clouds are floating, clouds are moving over high, on high over vales means valleys and hills. The poet is also wandering like the cloud as the clouds are moving over the valleys and hills. When all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils. When all at once I saw a crowd, when the poet was wandering, over the valleys and hills like a cloud. He saw a crowd of daffodils, a large number of golden daffodils. He saw a crowd of golden daffodils means he saw a large number of golden daffodils. A host means the daffodils plays the role of a host. They are welcoming the poet as a guest. They are welcoming the poet as the guest, and when they saw the poet, they start dancing and fluttering and moving with happiness and joy. Seeing the happiness and the joy of daffodils, the poet also became very happy, very joyful. Okay. When all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils. Beside the lake, beneath the tree, he saw a large number of golden daffodils beside the lake and beneath the tree. And all the daffodils, a large number of daffodils were playing the role of a host, and they are welcoming the poet as a guest. Okay. Golden daffodils, the poet William Wordsworth refers to the daffodils as golden because it is very obvious. And the second reason is that it is metaphorical. As the color of the flower is yellow, the poet calls them golden because the bright light of the sun is falling on the golden daffodils, and due to the bright light of the sun, the daffodils, the yellow color daffodils are shining brightly. The daffodil flowers are yellow and therefore comparable to gold in its color. Moreover, the flowers lend the poet a kind of golden memory and brings him joy and happiness that he cherishes in his lonely moments. That's why the daffodils are called golden daffodils. Beside the lake, beneath the tree, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Okay, the daffodils appeared to the poet as fluttering. Fluttering means moving. Okay, as fluttering and moving, and the poet became very happy to see the golden daffodils fluttering and dancing in the bridge. For him, the sight of the daffodils dancing sprightly is as dear as gold. That is, everything that the daffodils represent: joy, playfulness, survival, beauty, fills the speaker with bliss, with pleasure, with happiness and solitude. Continuous as the stars that shine, continuous as the stars with shine and twinkle on the Milky Way. The poet has compared daffodils with the continuity of the stars that shine in the night sky. The poet has compared daffodils with the continuity of the stars that shine in the night sky. Continuous as the the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way. Okay, the poet says that as the stars are shining in the sky at night, in the same way, golden daffodils are shining brightly due to the light of the sun. And when they saw the poet, they started fluttering and dancing in the bridge. Means seeing the poet as a guest, they started dancing, they started moving. They became very happy that his favorite guest has arrived among them. And seeing the happiness of the daffodils, the poet also became very happy, and his sadness, his pensive mood removed. His sadness removed all of a sudden due to the happiness of the daffodils, due to the joy of the daffodils. They stretched in never-ending line among the margin of the bay. Daffodils appeared to be stretched endlessly along the margin of a bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in a sprightly dance. Okay, 10,000s of daffodils were swaying their heads in a way that they appeared to dance. When daffodils saw the poet, they started dancing with happiness. Sprightly means full of life and energy. Okay, a special kind of life and energy was visible in the daffodils. When they saw the poet, they started dancing, they started moving and fluttering. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid means surpassed the sparkling waves in glee. Glee means a strong feeling of happiness. The waves in a nearby lake seemed to be dancing and also sparkling due to the sun's rays falling on them. The poet describes the enchanting quality of daffodils. The poet describes the mesmerizing quality of the daffodils. A poet could not but be gay. Gay means happy in such a jocund means cheerful company. The waves in the nearby lake seemed to be dancing and also sparkling due to the sun's rays falling on them. But the beauty of thousands of daffodils surpassed the beauty of sparkling waves. The poet feels that he could not be anything but happy in such a jocund company, in such a gleeful company, in such a cheerful company. A poet could not but be gay in such a beautiful company. A poet will be happy, will be cheerful. I gazed and gazed, but a little thought. What wealth the soul to me had brought. Okay. The poet gazed. I gazed and gazed, but little thought he could do was to stare at the daffodils. And the sight before him amazed him, surprised him. Okay. For oft, when on my couch, whenever he lies down on his couch. Whenever, far off means often. When on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood means in thoughtful or contemplative mood, they flash upon that inward eyes. The memory of the daffodils flashes in his mind and brings him happiness, brings him joy. which is the bliss of solitude. The bliss of solitude is experienced by the poet. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. And his heart, the poet's heart, is filled with pleasure and dances with the daffodils. Here, daffodil symbolize rebirth, okay, and new beginnings. Thank you.